He's in a van.
One for your head, one for your feet, right?
Yep. One leg out under the covers, one leg under the covers.
Man, you
No,
got
I'm scared of monsters. Can't do that.
scared of the monsters.
24 years old and I still got to be completely covered.
Hey,
Listen,
man.
night lights, baby.
See, but if there's like, I have to sleep in like in a pitch black room, any source
like
of
that.
light, like I cover my cable box.
As you should.
That's how dark has to be for you to fall asleep.
Mm.
I have Christmas lights up. I gotta keep it that way.
All right. Well, I feel like we're learning a lot about each other, which I love. So, anyways, fall, summer. Now it's back to the cold weather. Not really cold. It's nice out. I agree. 60, 70 degrees. I'd be happy with that. I don't know how many of you have your aspirations to one day move to the Bay, which is, the tech hub of the world. But the weather out there is a lot like this. In San Francisco, Oakland, weather is very mild like this. And I actually really like it every time I'm out there. Yeah, summers are pretty brutal out here in New York. They're tough, especially in the concrete. No trees, no hills, no grass. Like it's just
All the windows and glass reflecting the
Yep.
heat.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. So like when you're like in the country, like I'll like leave New York, like it'd be like 90 degrees. I'm like miserable. I'll drive to my parents' place in PA and be like, oh, this is pleasant. It's warm, but you don't hate your life. So anyways, enough about weather. Who here felt like they did a good job handling the customer's issue? I want to raise their digital hand, and we're gonna put you on the spot and allow you to show us how it's done. If nobody wants to self-nominate because you're not too prideful, you're too humble, does someone want to nominate the tech support person that they called and we'll say, hey, this person handled my call really well?
Eduardo.
What's that, Maria?
I nominate Eduardo.
Eduardo did a good job?
Yep, Shaq, I was in the room with him as well. Shaq to that.
And who was the customer?
Maria.
All right.
Oh, shoot, it was me.
It was you, so we're spotlighting both of you.
No,
right.
why?
No, why? All right, when you're ready, Maria, you're going to call and say, hello, this is my issue. Eduardo, show us how it's done, sir.
All right, ready when you are, Maria.
Go ahead.
Oh, do I start? Okay. Hello, my name is Eduardo. Who am I speaking with today?
This is Maria Serra. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. Hello, Maria. I hope your day's going well. What can I help with today?
Thank you. So my computer is lately been making a clicking sound. Like before, I didn't really realize it. I didn't really pay attention to it. But a couple days ago, I noticed it, and I thought it was this app that I recently had, so I deleted it. But the noise is still like it continues on. Like it makes the sound when I turn it on, when I turn the computer on.
Okay, I'm sorry this is happening, Maria. But that was a good idea you went and did. But let me ask you, when was the last time your computer was doing okay?
Well, I don't really recall. Like I mostly use it every day, but I didn't really notice that it was making a sound until a couple days ago, like I said. And like other than that, everything else works fine. It's just the sound.
Okay, I hear you. So far, all we have is a clicking noise. Everything's doing fine.
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you this. Has there been any new hardware installed? Any like kind of physical component onto your computer?
No.
Okay, Maria. Well, it seems like we have a minor issue with your hard drive. It happens often whenever you have a clicking noise. That's a hard drive problem. I think the best solution here would be me coming down and seeing if I could figure out what's wrong and get your computer up and running. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay, when can I meet you? I'm open anytime, whenever you are.
Tomorrow after 2 p.m.
Okay, tomorrow after 2 p.m. That will work perfectly. I will be there as soon as I can. And is there anything I can help you with?
Nothing else.
Nothing else. All right, perfect. Well, I'll see you then. Goodbye,
Thank you.
Maria. Thank
All
you.
right. Let's give our actor and actress a round of applause. They did a great job. Appreciate you both. What feedback do we have for Eduardo? He did really well. What are some things that he really stuck out to you? I'm going to raise their hand or put in the chat. What are some of the things that Eduardo did that showed his good customer service to Maria? Jesus?
I like how he like validated her approach. So he did it. He kind of wasn't like, oh, that was wrong. He was like, oh, that was a good idea, and then continued to solve her problem.
Exactly. He never belittled her. He never talked down to her. He never was like, oh, that's not a big deal. He really encouraged her that like she was doing the right thing by calling. Definitely noticed that. Jason?
He covered any ground possible. Like any question that he thought would need to be asked, he definitely covered it and made the last option of him after coming over there to fix the computer.
Absolutely brilliant observation, Jason. He didn't just say, oh, your computer's making a clicking sound. Okay, let me just come take a look at it. Right? He exhausted every other option and then realized, okay, the only solution is for me to physically look at your machine. Excellent. What about like his soft skills? I saw Brandon put in the chat. He greeted Maria at first. He had very friendly energy. Of course, if you guys caught it, he said, hi, Maria, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for calling, as opposed to, yeah, well, how can I help? Or, hey, what's the issue, right? He generally showed an interest in her and what she had going on, right? So remember, when someone calls you on tech support, they're not calling you to talk about, how great their day is going. They're calling because they have a problem, right? Their day's not going great. You already know that when they're calling you. So by what Eduardo did is he put her at ease. I'm so glad you called. Let's see how we can get you going here. So great job. Any other comments for Eduardo? Well, I'll say this. I definitely will. When we're doing internship matching, I'll be sure to say Eduardo is really good with customers, and he definitely needs to be in a role where he's working with them directly because he's, one of the best. So nice job, Eduardo. Nice job, Maria. Great work, guys. Thank you for nominating as well. Let's take 5 minutes, read this article, and come back at 9:31. All right, thanks. All right, folks, if you don't mind making your way back to the on camera. I love this article. I think it's really interesting that this person who is a project manager professionally had to do this household project, renovating her kitchen. Traditionally, you would think renovating your kitchen would be a waterfall method, make a really long plan and execute, but she decided, you know what? I'm going to do a more Scrum approach to it. I want to hear your feedback. What do you think about this article? What do you like about it? What did you find interesting? What did you find surprising? Let's start with Sikander. You there, Sikander?
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, my headset itself is muted.
It's all right.
So the first thing that popped out to me was the fact that it was a personal project and not a professional one. So it was more, how the Scrum method is more oriented towards customer feedback. So in this case, the customer were, the person in there, was it their husband or their wife? I actually forgot. But so in that section, they said we did just enough planning, so they can figure out like if there were any changes they want to make as they were doing the project. So the Scrum method worked out better that way. So like between, like they said at one point, they were just going to take down this wall and move those electrical sockets. And then they're like, hey, this doesn't really look that nice. Maybe you want to change it up. They can always do that every other week and figure that out with whoever they're working with.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Good observation. Alan?
I definitely resonate with the idea of it being difficult to separate work from personal life. My background in work has been typically in family entertainment and just kind of like managing like groups and big bodies of people.
Yep.
So when I would go to other places, like other family entertainment venues, whether that be, bowling alleys, whatever it may be, I would constantly find myself like thinking about how it could be done better,
Right.
or at least better in my eyes. I'm not going to say it's better. So that sort of, that urge to want to do something is always there, and it can be a pain sometimes.
For sure. It's a blessing and a curse, right? Both. Yeah, Daniel.
One thing that stood out to me was the fact that she was the primary stakeholder.
Yep.
So she didn't have to worry about what other people wanted, it was her project. So anything that was messed up or that she didn't like, she could just fix it easily by herself. They only did what was necessary, they didn't go over the board, over the top. They just did, they need extra space. They didn't get fancy cabinets, they just needed a bit more space. So they didn't go too overboard. Yeah.
Cool. Yep, for sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, she was the customer and also the primary stakeholder and the project sponsor. She was all those things. But she wasn't the one, doing the work. The team was doing the work. She was there to guide, help, facilitate. Yep. Izzy?
I like how she described her work, the workflow in the agile method. So I had a kind of like a weird understanding of the agile method and why we use it. When she described that she didn't change the flooring and the plumbing and I think the something else, it sparked up the idea of how the agile method is supposed to be used. So it seems like you're not really changing it much. You're just changing the specifics of what you want to change. So I like that as well.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Izzy. Jason, last comment, then we'll jump into today's lecture.
I like how she was basically setting goals and deliverable dates for herself. For example, like the first step was by end date. They had a whole plan to just bust through their certain items.
Yep.
And like she completely had a a pre-built plan to just slowly progress with that goal and idea.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And did anybody catch, you can put in the chat or come off mute and say it, how many days did it take them to renovate the kitchen? Anyone catch that?
A week.
7 days. It's pretty amazing. So if you ever renovated a kitchen before, the apartment that I'm about to move into, we asked them to renovate the kitchen. We asked them to do it like the 10th of May. So it's 15 days ago. And it's actually done today. I'm gonna go look at it today at 5. And I'm like really nervous because I haven't seen it in the last 15 days. And I'm kind of like this woman where I'm like, oh my gosh, hope they did it right. Because I wasn't there to observe, but I'm just gonna be like, you know what? I just trust that they did. But it took them 15 days, and that was just a small little New York City apartment kitchen. I mean, not nearly the amount of work that I imagine that they had to do because they were in a 100-year-old house. It was a lot of work. So yeah. So 7 days is pretty impressive to renovate a whole entire kitchen. And that's what happens when you work as a team and you have a clear vision of what you want. You can get things done faster. Cool. I just want to share that story. I thought it was interesting. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If you want to go off camera for this portion, you can. We're going to talk about building a team and why that's so important in project management. I love this topic. I spent a lot of time in my previous job as a master coach with the Mind Gym, teaching corporations on how to build teams. And it's something I get very excited about. So I'm looking forward to sharing it with you guys as well. But there's a psychologist. His name is Bruce Tuckman. And he has this theory, which I think holds true both in personal relationships as well as professional, where the most healthy relationships to get to that last level of performing only by going through these first 3 phases in the beginning. I'm going to break down what each one of them are. So the very first phase is what's called forming. All right. So think back to your first week at Europe. All right. Orientation week, all these interactives, all these new people. That was back in the day when everybody put their camera on. Remember those days? Those were nice days. And you were just so excited to meet your colleagues, and your instructors all seemed so cool, and the program staff were all so nice. And you were kind of like this couple on their honeymoon, like thinking, this is the best thing ever. I'm so glad that I did this. This happens with every relationship, doesn't it? It happens with couples, happens with friends, it happens with workplaces you go into, and most people, most of our jobs, you know, we walk into, we feel great the first day, and we even feel great the first week because, you know, everyone's so nice, so welcoming, so accommodating. Our manager is amazing. And then what happens next? Anybody want to take a guess? Storming. So the very first phase, forming, we're figuring things out. Then reality kicks in, right? Reality kicks in. That person who you met in interactive during orientation week, you get assigned to be on a group project together, and that person is lazy. They don't do their work. That instructor that you thought was so cool and so fun to be around assigns you 8 deliverables in 1 week, and you're like, oh my gosh, are you trying to kill me? Or that job that you join, and you're just so excited to join the team, and everyone's so nice, and you know you're 5 minutes late one day to your shift, and your manager, who was just your best friend last week, is now yelling at you in her office. Reality kicks in, right? That's part of the process. Next phase is norming. That's when you realize, okay, this program is going to be really intense, but I have to find new norms. I was with my coaching group on Monday, yesterday. And some of us, for our goals were, I want to set better boundaries. I want to make a schedule and stick to it. I want to allocate this time for deliverables. I want to allocate this time for group projects. You know, that's one of the ways you do it in year up. In a relationship, you know, with friends, it's like, hey, listen, by you know, did something that upset me, you did something that offended me. Let's make boundaries so that we can, you know, work together collaboratively and have a healthy, sustainable relationship. What happens sometimes in relationships that are unhealthy is you have the storming. Okay, so you have the thing that goes wrong, and you don't want to like have this tough conversation. All right, you don't want to have that, man, like I got to change things up. I got to find a new normal. I have to change the way I do things. You just want to kind of revert back to the honeymoon phase. You know, one of the things that I found in my life is when I'm hanging out with another couple and they've been like married or they're dating or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, we never fight. I'm like, yeah, you guys have a pretty dysfunctional relationship then. And that's just, you know, because couples fight and they learn how to forgive each other. They learn how to, you know, find new boundaries. They apologize. And then what happens when teams do this, when people do this, is then they perform. They get things done, right? So they have the honeymoon phase. Something goes wrong. They can either say, okay, we're going to find new norms. We're going to find new ways of respecting each other. And then we're going to go to this level. We're going to perform. We're going to get stuff done. So what is the forming? If you're a teacher who provides clarity, all right, you say from the upfront, hey, listen, we're going to do this group project. We're just getting to know each other. These are the goals that we're going to assign to one another, right? If you're a good leader, you provide clarity on what you want, on what you're expecting, right? And then what happens when you're in that group project and then you're working on that, you know, with that team, and something goes wrong. You know, one of your team members goes to MIA for the whole weekend. You text him, you send him a message on Discord, you try to call him, no response. That's the storming phase, you see? So what do? You provide guidance. Hey, you know, hey, Joe, you know, weren't available this weekend. We had a study meeting planned on Sunday at 5 p.m. You never showed up. That really left the team high and dry. Why did that happen? What's going on? Then norming, hey, you know, we have study groups. We need all of us to be there. We need all hands on deck to get this project done. I'm here to provide support. If you need it, I'm here to help guide you and support you in that way. Norming, when we set something up, we're going to make it happen. And the last thing is finally Joe shows up to the meetings, right? And performing. You're Joe's cheerleader. You're offering encouragement. We're so glad that we're all pulling together and we're getting this project done. All right. So I have a question. I know it was a lot of information, but hopefully it was clear. Which one of these 4 do you see yourself with most of your colleagues here at Europe? I mean, here we are in this program. We're working together. We're getting to know one another. I'll go back to the 4 as well. So which one do you see yourself with most of your colleagues? Are you still feeling them out? Are they still feeling you out? You're still kind of in the honeymoon phase. Things are still very exciting. Are you storming with a lot of your colleagues? Are you like in conflict with them? They don't like working with you. You get put in a breakout room with them and you kind of roll your eyes like, oh, this person again. Are you norming? Are you trying to figure out like what exactly are we doing? How are we going to set boundaries so that we can work together collaboratively? Or are you performing? You know, you get together with your team and you can knock stuff out. You can get things done. Which one do you see yourself with the most with your colleagues? You can put in the chat or you can raise your hand, whatever you're more comfortable with. But I'd love to hear what some of you think where you're at with your team. So it looks like Izzy says, I'm a cheerleader. Davian says norming and performing. Sabrina says performing. Tyrell norming and performing. All right, I see a lot of that. That's great to see. Jason, which one do you see you're mostly at?
I see myself as more of the forming part because
Mhm.
whenever someone has a question, I gladly answer it along with understanding it myself.
Excellent, excellent. I love that. Great. Michael?
I would say norming performing. Sometimes when we get into breakout rooms, I don't know what's going on. And I like how my colleagues try to explain it to me. And performance is when sometimes I feel like I know what's going on, so I like to get the stuff done right away.
Right. Excellent. Thank you, Michael. And here's the interesting thing about being on a project team, okay, is that you can be on a project with someone and you can be down here. Let me get my antidote tool. And you can be down here, you know, having a good old time performing. Anybody want to take a stab though? What happens when you join a new project team with all new people? What do you think happens? Either raise your hand or put in the chat. Yeah, Izzy, what happens?
You start over, so you go back to performing.
Exactly, Izzy, you're so smart. You go back to step one, right? And when it comes to working on a team, if it's being on projects, you know, you have to go through this process, and it's okay. It's healthy to have, you know, to have conflict. It's healthy to have disagreements. You know, yesterday, you know, someone said that the one question that I put on the midterm was incorrect. And like, that doesn't hurt my feelings. That's good. I want people to share that with me because I want to make it better, not just for you, but for class 31, class 32, and so on. It's okay to have conflict as long as it's in a respectful way. You find norming and you're able to provide support to get to the last level, because all of us in this room, we want to get here. We want to perform at the top level. We want to do work that's meaningful. We don't want to like leave our jobs every day and be like, oh my gosh, I can't stand my colleagues. I can't stay in that place. We want to be at a place where we can perform at our best. Are there any questions or follow up on these steps, or does it make pretty clear sense on the 4 levels of teams and how teams work? I want to make sure that everyone's feeling confident. If this was helpful, give me a green check. Cool. Good. Good. I'm glad. So you're building the team. All right. So one of the things that you do in Scrum, you host what's called a kickstart meeting. This is a little bit different than the kickoff meeting in waterfall project management. The kickstart meeting is when you get to know each other. All right. So one of the ways that you do that, actually, no, I'm going to start asking questions because I'm getting tired of talking and hear myself talk. So let's see who can make this happen. The 38 of us in this room, obviously it's way too big to be a Scrum team. For the sake of the simulation, though, we're going to say we are. We're all a team. We're all meeting each other for the very first time to do this project together. All right. We never met before. We're all working on different teams, different functions, and you are the team lead. All right. What are you going to do to get us to get to know each other as quickly as possible? We're all meeting for the very first time. What's something that you might do? I knew we can imagine it being virtual or in person. Davian?
We could do little like interactive, similar to what we do here in program.
So like, what do you think would be a good way to, like, the 38 of us? Are we doing a Zoom or an in-person, Davian, for yours?
We could do Zoom just
All
because
right.
that's the norm right now.
Yeah, all right, agreed. All right, Davian, so 38 of us, we log into Zoom for our 9:48 a.m. meeting. We're all kind of staring at each other. You're our leader. What are we doing to get to know each other?
We could do something like introduce yourself, give a fun fact about yourself, and then just pass it on to the next person.
Cool. Everyone does a fun fact. Love it. Thank you, Davian. Jesus, what else could we do?
So kind of along the lines as the same thing as Davian said, but what I would add is breaking out into smaller groups because it's kind of hard to connect with people when it's a whole group of like 38 people. But like you split that up into like groups of like 3 or 4. And then at the same time, you can have them exchange contact information with each other.
There you go. Okay, great. You're getting a little bit ahead of what we're going to talk about today, but I love that. So you're exchanging contact information, you're doing breakouts, getting to know each other. So Sikander, what else would you do?
I was thinking of like a 7-second elevator speech, like between everybody. But then at the end of that, maybe they mention like the last project that they worked on.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, to share experiences they've had that could carry over into the new project. Excellent. So 7-second elevator pitches as well as previous projects you've worked on. Okay, so basically we're talking about icebreakers right now. How about imagine this? The 38 of us all walk into a conference room together in our office. We're complete strangers. We never met before. What do you think something, I'm gonna try to say this without saying it. What is something we can provide to help break the ice that isn't an icebreaker? Or something that everybody likes, no matter who you are, where you're from, what your culture is, what your age is. Everybody likes what? Thank you, Alan. I was waiting for someone to say it. Food. Food. Why is having food? Someone can raise their hand and put in the chat. Why is that just a natural way for people to connect who never met before? Yeah, everyone likes money too. Yeah, Tyrell.
Food is just always been that sorry. Food is one of the best ways to connect because no matter what, you get to see people's likes and dislikes based on their facial expressions, how to respond to it. And then you see people, oh, can you pass me that? Then it starts those little conversations into bigger conversations. You're eating the same thing, you're sitting at this table, so forth and so on.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, it's a natural conversation starter, right? It's like, oh, you like the pepperoni pizza? Well, so do I. And this is a place I love to go to called whatever. Oh, I've been there before. And there you go. Starts a conversation. Why else is the food important, Izzy?
Usually there's a saying, when you eat food with other people, it tastes better. So I would say, like, eating food with other people and getting to know them will make the food taste better. Will also make the experience taste better.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And I've never heard of it before. That's great. There's actually a book called Never Eat Alone. Probably a similar vein. Yeah, Davian, why else is this important?
Just to add on to what Tyra said, it's definitely a conversation starter, and I feel like it loosens people up a bit more too. Instead of like just going in a room and just like sitting to yourself in the corner, you kind of got to like get up and move around, socialize, eat, things like that.
Yes, exactly. As opposed to walking into a sterile conference room where it's just kind of awkward and we're all looking at each other. No one knows what's happening. Having food is a huge benefit. And it's, yeah, Alan.
Can't be mad when you have food in your stomach.
Exactly. I think someone put that in the chat earlier, which was a good comment. No one's happy when they're hungry, right? So, yeah, there you go. Jason put it. People are angry when they're hungry, and it's true. I mean, if you walk into a conference room and it's your first time meeting people, and you're doing this project, and someone thought to get like delicious, nutritious food, you're immediately going to be in a better mood. You just are. You're like, oh wow, this is a nice touch. I'm glad someone thought of this. Even if it's not like an extravagant meal, it doesn't have to be. It can be coffee and bagels and donuts. I mean, that's fine too. But having that element just helps break the ice. It helps bring people together. It helps create immediate camaraderie. So you have the icebreaker, you have the food. What else could be important in that introduction meeting? Everyone getting together. Anything else that you think should be communicated or should be included to make sure that everyone's on the same page? I see Tyrell and Alan's hands both up. Is that from earlier, Tyrell and Alan?
Yes, from earlier, sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Same here.
Okay. All right, Davey, and what do you think you should include in this conversation?
Would this be like aside from the work itself?
They can include the work, but it could be a side as well.
Yeah, because I was gonna say you at least want to give like a little brief description of what you guys will be doing and what will be, yeah, like what will be done within this project.
Yes, exactly, Davey. And you're thinking like a true PM. So you want to have the icebreaker, you want to have the food, and you want to have some sort of like vision. Like this is where we're gonna go. This is why we're all here together. This is what's happening. I'll just go through the last couple things. It's sometimes common in this meeting to have a short training on Scrum. Like this is how Scrum works. We're going to be having stand-up meetings. We're going to be iterating. We're going to be flexible. Sometimes it's important to have a contract, right? So what does a contract mean? Just like we have a contract here within Year Up, there's a contract as well within your team. What are the dynamics at play? I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen, so I'd like to, look at you guys during this part. But for example, like that could look like, hey, we want to respect each other's boundaries, and we're going to say we're not going to work after 6 p.m. Like that's an example of the contract, so that we're held accountable. Exactly, this is how we're going to work together. We're going to have a communication means. How are we going to stay in touch? Are we going to use Slack? Are we going to use email? Are we going to use Google Teams? Are we going to use what? How are we going to stay in touch with GChat? What are we going to do about that? So these are the things that we really want to make sure are included in that kickoff meeting. Kickstart meeting, excuse me. I was getting those two mixed up. So there it is. I have in my notes. Icebreaker, food, short training on Scrum, team vision. Sometimes there's a team name, which is, some people like that. Some people think it's tacky, teach their own. And set communications. How are we going to stay in touch? And that's what goes on with building the team. I was going to do a breakout, but you know what? It's Tuesday. It's cold and dreary. We'll just skip the breakout today. Is that okay with everyone? All right. Tyrell?
Question. I realize that at my job now they use Slack. Is Slack is now a more up and coming contact that most jobs use now?
Yes, I'm glad to bring that up. So for one, I just want to say that I'm a huge fan of Slack because it goes both on your phone and your computer. And for those of you who aren't really familiar with what Slack is, let me just go ahead and pull up my screen so you can kind of see what it looks like. But while I do that, Tyrell, do you want to give a quick 30-second pitch of what Slack is exactly for those who are unaware?
I'll do the best I can. I feel like Claire may be able to do better, but because she's had it since 2016. But Slack is it's an app that you can use to contact your job. I know for my job, we have a specific work email that is used with our job domain. So we get on, we have different chats that we use. It's similar to Discord, but we have different chats. You can contact people. They keep track of when it was sent, who read it, things like that. But it's a lot more accessible, easily accessible to many people.
Yes. Yeah, all the above. Just to give quick visual. This is my dashboard of Slack. So as you can see here on the left, AV team class 30. So when myself, Lauren, Brendan, and Gabriel can coordinate, we coordinate via this. There's my coaching group Slack. Here's private messages that I have with folks. And then down here on the left, it's like Baseline Live. That was a training that I went to for new employees, mid-cycle celebration. So while we were doing our mid-cycle celebration on Friday, we were able to coordinate and talk with each other and all that stuff. So as you can see there, it's really cool. LCM, all that stuff is there. So there's nothing private, obviously, but every single one of these channels is something a little bit different, which is kind of cool. And what I like about it personally is this: you can like put different reactions, little side eyes. So it's just fun and it makes communication easy. And this is the thing that I love about it is I can't stand email. I think email is literally gonna be dead in 10 years, and I will be there for the funeral cheering. Because I think Slack's the future. Because here's a perfect example of how things can work well with Slack. On Friday at 12 p.m., I'm folding my laundry in my apartment. All right. And Vanessa Slacks me and says, "Hey, can you hop on a call right now?" All right. So yeah, of course. And she calls me. We talk for 10 minutes about something work related. All right. Now imagine if I'm folding my laundry and she emails me and says, "Hey, you want to talk for 10 minutes?" I'm not going to see that because I don't have work email on my phone. All right. And then she's like annoyed. "Where's Eric? What's going on? Why isn't he answering me?" And I don't want to sit behind my computer all day, every day. I have a life, right? I got to fold laundry. I got 2 kids. They make a lot of laundry. And with work-life, integration, that's one of the beauties of it. So the way of working is not sitting behind your computer all day, at least not for me, and having your email constantly open, because that's very stressful. But if someone needs a quick communication, so if someone says, if Eduardo says, "I got to ask Eric about something," he's going to say, "Hey, Eric, real quick, did you follow up with this?" "Yes, I did." "Okay, cool. It's done." It's that really quick, rapid communication, as opposed to, a long email where I may or may not get to it within a day or two. So yeah, that's Slack. I think it's really going to be the future. And I gotta say, I'm very mad at Slack because I was investing in it on Robinhood, and then I sold it, and then Salesforce acquired them, and I was like, "Oh shoot, I'm an idiot." Anyways, different story for a different day. Jason?
See, I want to challenge you on that point because as much as you say Slack is great and all, but what happens when it's the weekend and people still message you?
You can put it out of the office on your Slack and you never get notifications.
But you'll still be bombarded with Slack information that you'll have to actually go back to watch compared to the emails if they're marked emergency.
What do you mean? So you mean like if it's like Saturday and someone's sending me messages on Slack, that the expectation would be that I would respond back on Saturday, or that on Monday I get to my office and be like, "Oh my gosh, I have a million Slacks."
A little bit of both, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for one, I mean, you as a professional, you set your own boundaries of what you will or won't respond to at what times. And you're still gonna get the emails either way. People are gonna try to communicate with you either way. So yeah, I could definitely see your point, Jason, how it'd be really annoying to have so many things going back and forth over the weekend and getting to your office on Monday and be like, "Oh my gosh, and I have to comb through all of these." But yeah, I don't ever check any work correspondence on weekends. It just is not my thing. So but I can see your point for sure. I think that, with email, there's a little bit more grace. Like you can respond within like a day or two, and people aren't going to care. Whereas Slack can be a little bit annoying because it's like people expect a quicker response. So I can see why that would be a little bit annoying for sure. But time will tell. Maybe I'll be right. Maybe I'll be wrong. But we'll find out. 10 years. Give me a call or give me a Slack. All right. Anything else about this, guys, before we wrap it up for today? One of the things I actually have a workshop on, maybe be helpful, is like, how do you know what means of communication to use and work? Would you guys be interested in that? Like a short 10-minute workshop, maybe tomorrow or Thursday on that? Like, when do I use Slack? When do I use email? When do I pick up the phone and call? What do you guys think? Would that be helpful?
Yes.
Okay. I'll do that later on this week. All right, guys. That's it. The discussion board due tonight. Make sure that you get your video in on Schoology for giving your elevator pitch on why PM matters for a job you're applying to. That's due on Thursday. And I will see you all in class tomorrow at 10:30. That's it. Have a great week, guys. Take care.
Have a great week, Eric.
See you, Eric.
Have a good week.
Have a good week.